Well, research has shown that 50% of all fatal accidents on our roads are alcohol-related. Brandhouse has recently produced a hard-hitting campaign encouraging consumers to drink responsibly.
Hi, my name is Leonard. I'm looking for a special person.
I'm looking for a soul that is energetic and is understanding.
I don't know what to say.
I like a really nice, pleasant body.
Someone that can handle heavy situations with a smile.
These hands will never let you go. I'm quite demanding physically.
I have all the time in the world for you.
I'm gonna change you.
Don't be scared of me. I'm not an animal. Papa, wow, well.
Well, if that won't scare you, I don't know what will. So, Priscilla, using scare tactics to get your message across, how did you come up with this campaign and why did you decide to go that route?
Jackie, great question. I think the Drive Dry concept was born out of real consumer research that we had done about 4 years ago at Brandhouse, where consumers believed that it wouldn't happen to them, as in getting stopped at a roadblock or being fined or thrown into jail. And gradually the campaign began to gain momentum, where we reached a point where awareness was there, but actually people's behavior and attitude towards drinking and driving wasn't quite translating into the results we wanted to see. And we thought, what is the biggest thing that would scare consumers into changing behavior and attitude? And that is to spend a night in jail, away from their family, away from their friends, and actually having a criminal record that is as a result of their actions.
Right. Andy, do you think scare tactics work?
The track record of scare tactics is not very favourable, unfortunately, but then nor is, frankly, the efficacy of mainstream advertising to change people's behaviour, particularly on these kind of social issues, because they are based on very deep-rooted values.
Yeah.
Now, ironically, we are trying to do in social campaigns what marketers are trying to do also with conventional brand campaigns, which is position their brands on the deepest part of people's psyches, because then it's going to be harder to shift. You can always change behavior, you can even change rational understanding of what a brand is about, but if you can get a brand to link into what you believe deepest down, then it's going to be hard to change. And that's what we're trying to do in reverse, if you like, with social campaigns. We're trying to take those deep-seated attitudes which have been ingrained and change them through advertising, and it has to be done, but I don't think that the figures are particularly hopeful.
Well, then on the ARA side, Adrian, you've gone a complete different route. If you look at the ad campaigns that you have produced, it's more on the emotional side. Talk us through that.
Well, it's exactly what Andy was saying. You know, it's a deep-seated emotion, and one has to try and reach that. And what we've done, we've taken, I think, probably the most emotional thing, which are children, and shown, instead of drunk children or underage drinkers who shouldn't be drinking, we're showing the impact that parents can have on their kids. And instead of showing somebody who's drastically over the limit or really falling all over the place, we've shown parents in situations where they've had one drink too many, who says one more drink won't hurt, and the devastating impact. And what we've found, while we don't have the stats, we've actually got evaluation in the market at the moment, some research, what we've found is that there's certainly the response, the deep-seated response is, oh my goodness, that in fact could be me, whereas the drunk person falling all over the place, no, that's not me. But the person who's at the football game,
it's more closer to home.
Yes,
it's a lot more closer to home.
And I'm hopeful that this is perhaps going to be the first time that we're going to really be able to see a shift from our point of view. But certainly, you know, Brandhouse has done excellent work as well. So I mean, it's a different way of looking at it.
It's a different way of looking at it, but the same message at the end of the day. And Priscilla, the question to you is, you know, don't you find yourself as a brand and as a business in a catch-22? Because on the one hand, you're driving sales, you're in the business to make a profit, but on the other hand, you know, you have to be responsible and communicate responsible drinking.
Jackie, you know, I think it's a question of choice. and creating more occasions in terms of making the choices around drinking and how you behave and your relationship with alcohol. So the message as manufacturers and distributors of alcohol is that we do not want people to drink until they fall down, but rather to enjoy alcohol on suitable occasions, in moments of celebration or whatever that occasion they choose to, but in a responsible manner over, you know, several occasions or several periods of time. So it's not just a, you know, you've got to just drink as much as you can on one typical occasion.
Right. But also, I mean, is this in line with, you know, the pending regulations on alcohol advertising? Are you rather being proactive rather than reactive in terms of, you know, what might be, you know, put, you know, down as proposed legislation?
You know, I think we're, as an industry, really wanting to work with government across all departments and all ministers to really get the thrust and the main aim of whatever's going to benefit South African consumers as a whole. And I think that's fundamentally at the root of all that has been spoken about in the last few weeks, especially at the summit in Durban. And collaboration and engagement between industry and government and all the other stakeholders involved is what's going to actually lead to a proactive and effective solution for all South Africans.
Now, Adrian, you were actually at the summit. Can you take us through some of proposed legislation that they're looking at?
Well, I think it's very important, Jackie, to say at the outset, it's just proposals at this stage. So, I mean, this is, you know, the government has to go through various procedures, and certainly the point was made that there will be consultation. And as Priscilla says, you know, we look forward as an industry to be actually working with government to try and get these things. But certainly there was a lot at this summit about a total advertising and a total marketing ban, in fact. There were some strong words said about it, and you know, while we certainly believe, and a lot of international research points to the fact that there's no real direct causal link between advertising and alcohol abuse, certainly there are others that feel differently, and we certainly want to engage with those others and find the best way forward.
So, Andy, you know, let's look at the media and in the role that media play. It's quite an important part. If you're saying that there are challenges in commercials and ads and campaigns to change beliefs and to change attitudes, the power of the media surely can play a significant role here. Don't you agree?
Yes, I think it can. I think that there is a rather simplistic view in certain circles that if marketing is there to build sales, then if you take it away, sales will implode. And clearly the category has a momentum despite marketing. And I think that it's perhaps unfortunate that, particularly in South Africa, I would doubt if there's an industry, a liquor industry anywhere in the world that tries as hard as the South African industry does. I think that they make enormous investments. I mean, I think that campaign of Brandhouse is, while I have some doubts about how effective scare tactics can be, I think it's a fabulous example of the genre, as is the sort of peer-to-peer social pressure that the ARA have adopted, which is also a very interesting tack. But ultimately, I don't think that the banning, the outright ban, there isn't that on-off situation that perhaps government thinks there is, and media is there and can equally promote and help to engender a sense of responsibility. So yes, it does play an important role. Because
Priscilla, just on that note, you know, from Brandhouse's side, tell us about the Responsible Drinking Awards that you've come up with as a campaign, or as an initiative rather.
Jackie, as in part of our efforts to change consumer behavior and attitudes, we look at various ways in the most effective way possible. And the media, as we all know, are key influencers into how consumers think and behave, whether it's in South Africa or anywhere else in the world. And the power of the media to influence messaging around responsible drinking is an uncharted territory. So therefore we thought using the media as a powerful platform to engage with consumers in the various ways in which they report on alcohol abuse, binge drinking, underage drinking, drunken driving, fetal alcohol syndrome, illicit alcohol, across the entire alcohol landscape, that we will start then opening up new and sometimes old debates around alcohol, and how government and industry and stakeholders can all work towards a meaningful solution in making South Africa and consumers a better place to live in.
Another issue though is, as South Africans, it's so entrenched in our culture. We're not going to stop having a braai and a beer or whatever the case may be. It's entrenched in our culture. So we are going to be drinking. The issue is drink responsibly. But is the offering out there not, Adrian, that the likes of Goodfellas is assisting us now? You know, a few years ago there was no you know, public transport. That is changing. So it's almost to say, as you know, it's going to happen. Be responsible about it. Call a taxi, call a Goodfellas, drive yourself home responsibly.
No, absolutely. I think the majority of people who consume alcohol in our country do so responsibly, and more are using people like Goodfellas. But quite an interesting point is, to my mind, the fact, you know, we are often accused in terms of advertising, that advertising creates abuse, makes people drink and all this kind of thing. If alcohol advertising was so powerful, then one has to question why the majority of South Africans choose not to consume alcohol. So there are more South Africans who don't consume alcohol than there are. And if it was such a powerful medium, then why is that the case? So I think one also must look at that.